Welcome to the Lost Roman Heroes podcast. My name is Matthew.
And my name is Medbø.
We are serious nerds for Rome, and we are father and son.
Together on the Lost Roman Heroes podcast, we dive deep into the history of Rome, from its origin story starring Aeneas of Troy to its death with Constantine XI, uncovering Rome's greatest heroes along the way and ranking them.
There are plenty of great podcasts on the big men in Rome's history. Guys like Caesar, Augustus, and Constantine. But that's not us. We're making this podcast to shed a light on Rome's forgotten heroes. From Cincinnatus to Scipio, from Aurelian to Belisarius and beyond, you will not believe the gems that we uncover. So please come join the legion of Lost Roman Heroes and listen to us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or find us at www.lostromanheroes.com.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Right, I think we've got signal back now. That was very odd. The broadcasting tower just started transmitting this message out of nowhere.
Well, I'm guessing go give them a listen. You
Yeah.
might discover more about them.
Yeah, exactly. Right, well, on with the show, I guess. Hello everyone, and welcome to Autocrat. This is episode 23, and it's the second part of our discussion of Heracles, or Hercules, whatever you want to call him, and it's called To-Do List.
Now you might be asking, why is it called To-Do List? You're going to find out very soon. Last we spoke, we left off at the point where Heracles had just gotten together with his wife and had 3 children.
Sure, I remember this, the children who very much will need counselling about their names later in life.
Exactly. Today we are going to introduce a very famous part of mythology, that is Heracles' task and why he got them,
Okay,
and the to-do list title.
yeah.
So, we're picking up the story after Heracles fights against a group of people called the Minions.
Alright, these are definitely not the villains from Despicable Me, I should clarify. It's spelled M-I-N-Y-A-N-S, so it's Minyan or Minion, I'm not sure, but it's not part of the Despicable Me franchise.
Maybe they're yellow.
Maybe. I doubt it.
After Heracles had slept with the 50 daughters of Thespius and had captured the lion we talked about in the previous episode, he found that the Minions were exacting tribute from Thebes because of the death of the king of the Minions.
Okay.
This man had been hit with a stone flung by a man I can only assume is from Thebes, although we didn't have time to come through Apollodorus for this.
That makes sense.
The upshot is that the king's son, Irgens, marches on Thebes and demands tribute annually for 20 years.
Right.
This sounds very similar to the story of Minos, right?
Yeah, it does. I mean, in Minos' case, he's asking Athens for repayment in, admittedly, the form of human sacrifice because of the death of his son. Here, from what I understood from Apollodorus, I think it's livestock of some kind that's being extracted.
Do tell us how Heracles deals with this.
Right, so you might have an image in your head of Heracles being someone who solves problems by using a lot of force, right?
Yeah, like feet first, question later.
Yeah, hit things first. Well, he doesn't exactly help himself with what happens here. He runs into some messengers on their way to collect what they're owed from Thebes. In response, Heracles chopped off the ears, hands, and noses of the envoys from the Minions, tied these body parts around their necks, and says that, well, this is their tribute to bring back to Irgens, go back and give him it. It's a very unnecessarily tough message that is definitely going to lead to reprisals, and indeed it does, because absolutely predictably, Irgens marched on Thebes. Heracles got given weaponry by his half-sister, the goddess Athena, and routed them utterly. The Minions were then forced to pay twice what they'd asked for in tribute of Thebes. And it's after this point that Creon marries Megara to Heracles. So it's after this story that our episode really picks up steam.
Exactly. Heracles is later on driven mad by Hera,
Okay,
prompted by her supposedly feeling of jealousy,
right.
or at least the text says this.
Yeah.
You can infer that she's not happy given that Heracles is an extramarital child of her brother/husband.
Yeah.
In this state, he grabs hold of Megara because he's, being driven mad.
Yeah.
Also their children, and 2 of Iphicles' children for some reason.
Yeah.
And they all get thrown into a fire and burned to death.
Okay, so this makes me think that Iphicles' life, again, is just really not a happy one. We saw him getting attacked for no reason in comparison to Heracles last episode, and now 2 of his children are dead because of his twin brother.
Exactly.
Terrible life. Justice for Iphicles again.
Grief-stricken, he exiled himself and was absolved of the crime by the same Thespius we saw farming out his daughters to him in episode 22.
Okay, so he's taken time off from his daughters sleeping with various Greek heroes in order to make time to purify Heracles.
He makes his way to Delphi and asks the oracle there what he should do next.
Right.
Incidentally, the oracle at Delphi belongs to Apollo after he kills the snake python.
Right.
It had previously been a place where Dionysus, Gaia, her children, and Poseidon were worshipped.
Okay, so Heracles is at the oracle belonging to Apollo at Delphi.
Exactly.
Right, what happens next?
Well, I thought you could tell us. What does the oracle instruct Heracles?
Well, the oracle tells Heracles to travel to Tiryns, and this is a city located in the very south of Greece, in the bottom peninsula, I believe called the Morea or the Peloponnese. And while he's there, he will work for his cousin Eurystheus for 12 years and carry out 10 labours for Eurystheus. The priestess also promises him immortality after this ordeal is complete, which doesn't seem bad, given that he's here for killing several members of his immediate family.
It doesn't. And this is where we get the story of the task from.
Yeah.
From the many adventures of Heracles, those are by far the most well-known.
Oh, definitely.
As we saw, they were dished out by Eurystheus, king of Mycenae.
Okay.
For a little context on Eurystheus, he was a cousin of Heracles. Eurystheus is the grandson of Perseus through his son Stelenus.
Okay.
Before they were born, Hera persuaded Zeus to promise that the younger of the 2 would be subject to the other.
Okay, so whoever's born next from that family line becomes king of Mycenae.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Zeus, believing his own son would obviously be older, agreed.
Okay.
But Hera, jealous as she was, hastened the birth of Eurystheus while stopping Alcmene from giving birth. So Eurystheus was born before Heracles at 7 months premature and became king instead of him.
Okay, so we know that Eurystheus' mother became pregnant with him about 2 months after Alcmene fell pregnant.
Yeah.
Right. Well, 7 months is about 28 weeks, and in the modern day the survival rates for babies born this early are admittedly about 90% from what I've read, but for the ancient world it seems impressive he managed to survive.
It does. Eurystheus feared and envied Heracles and hoped to destroy him by imposing on him this impossible dangerous task.
Sure.
Do you want to tell us what those 10 labours or tasks are?
Yes, so we are going to be summarising them here in a very abbreviated form which takes away most of the nuance and actual danger to keep everyone in the audience listening and eager to hear them. So, in order, these 10 tasks are killing a lion, killing a hydra, catching a deer, then catching a boar, killing some birds, cleaning out some stables, catching a bull, fetching some horses, getting a woman's belt, and killing a monster.
Exactly.
Now, as you can see, we're not really saying exactly what the tasks are, besides generic terms, as we will get into the stories of these tasks in later episodes. Now, you might also be thinking, hang on, I thought there were 12 tasks. That's the famous line, the 12 tasks of Heracles or 12 tasks of Hercules. Well, the reason why is that there are 2 extra tasks, and this is because 2 of the original 10, which I just mentioned, were not successful in the mind of Eurystheus, and he therefore gave Heracles 2 extra ones. Again, using our highly reductive summary, these are fetch a dog and get some apples.
Again, very generic terms, so to leave surprise for when we actually get into them.
Yeah.
It's not yet sure if we'll cover all of them in one episode, one task per episode, or half and half, but that'll be a surprise too.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to tell us what we're going to speak about next week?
Well, next week we will have a bonus episode with a very different theme based on a suggestion, and this is the idea of the Marble Emperor. So this is a topic connected to Constantine XI and the final fall of Constantinople in the 15th century. So here we are in in the very beginning of our story talking about something at the very end, but we thought it might be a fun bonus.
It might be a fun bonus, and we'll come back to the Heracles saga after this little tangent.
Sounds great.
Once again, don't forget you can find us on the website. We've got a poll going on, also on Instagram, on YouTube, on Spotify.
TikTok, wherever else we are. We've got links to anywhere we can be found on the website, which makes our lives a bit easier.
So have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah, have a great week. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
I really like the reductive way of summarising these tasks. Yeah, fetch a dog, get some apples. You know, he probably ran out of apples that day.